All right, we are back at it. I am your boy, Dr. Jeremy C. McCool, and this is Rap and Reason Podcast episode. Are we on 14?
14.
14,
That's crazy.
man. We back at it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you feeling, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. I can't complain, man. It's been a busy season, as we mentioned before, but all good stuff, man. Class has been going well. The hip-hop course, this week we actually talked about how hip-hop has spoken about faith and religion throughout time, which has been really, really cool, man. And, it was crazy. The last lecture, we got to talk about Kanye and Kirk Franklin in the same lecture somehow. And I think it worked well, man. So we got to talk about the impact of course, Jesus Walks and the impact of Kanye releasing that as a single and what that did for the culture. But then also really how Kirk Franklin kind of helped bridge that gap between faith-based music and hip-hop. So it was really, really good, man. So some definitely impactful conversations, bringing in some guest speakers soon. So I'll keep you all posted on that. But, yeah, man, been blessed overall. How you been?
I've been good, bro. Yeah, like my Browns didn't perform to the level they needed to this past Sunday. That's okay. It's to be expected.
How bad?
Bro, I got smoked. Like, our offense is just so abysmal, yo. But, like, you know, as a Browns fan, you are accustomed to mediocrity.
That's messed up.
You know what I mean? Like, it's second nature. So
are you a Cavaliers fan too then?
I'm not really, yo. I'm a LeBron fan, like, to be honest. Yeah.
Is there a lot of people out there in Ohio who are like that, where it's just like, we just rock with LeBron wherever he goes?
There are a lot of people like that, especially if you're from Columbus, because you're somewhat in the middle. Like, you're somewhat detached while attached to Cleveland sports. It's kind of weird, but, like, LeBron usurps all of that. Like, he is Ohio, like, all of Ohio. He's from Akron. He grew up in Akron, but he represents all of Ohio. And very few athletes like have that level of stardom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I know a lot of my friends are LeBron fans versus Cavalier, Miami Heat, or LA, Laker fans. Yeah, it's LeBron or nothing.
And it makes sense because especially because he went back. I know everybody out there was mad when he left, but the fact that he went back and got a ring, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like, was he forgiven there? Was that the vibe in Ohio?
Once he won the championship, it was like, all right, bro, we have no smoke for you, because you came back after winning 2 and then won 1 for us. And it felt like I literally cried, bro, that night that they won the finals, bro. Like,
really?
Bro, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what type of level of, like, excitement he brought to Cleveland, but, like, the state of Ohio, bro. Like, for real, when that happened. Because especially in Cleveland, it felt like there was just a drought of success. Like, the Guardians have been, like, good, like, for a long time, like a decent amount of time now. But for a minute, bro, there was just nothing to really celebrate sports-wise in Cleveland. Really anything, if you ask me, but that's just me.
He put on for the city.
He put on for the city. Put on for the state.
You gotta show love to people who put on for the state, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And man, we got a couple things that we got to get into. One is, so we gave a review of Tommy Richman.
We did.
And his album. Mm-hmm. Not a favorable one, I would say. Definitely, neither one of us were feeling that album.
Nah, it sucks.
It was bad.
We were open about it, too.
Yeah, it was, because it was really bad.
It was.
It wasn't like, it's high. It was like, nah, this is bad. This is bad music.
Yeah.
And with that being said, some people, of course, trolled us online because of it.
Of course.
And we love it, man. Yeah. We love the engagement on the Rap and Reason pages. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, what did my man say? He said, oh, y'all hating on him because he pale. It has nothing to and Tyler knows this. My boy Tyler knows this. It has nothing to do with him being white. Nothing. Bro. We appreciate, like, people that are good at their job. His job is to make good music. Unfortunately, he missed the mark, bro.
He failed.
That's the truth.
Badly. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is, right after we ended up doing that episode, the next day, he decides to jump on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or X,
I guess
now, and say, I am not a hip-hop artist. And then he continued to say something that was even more egregious, and he said the Coyote was album of the year, which is that I honestly was more offended by that part than the first part, to be honest. But how did you feel about him saying, I am not a hip-hop artist?
For me, it's just like, again, it's that same kind of reaction I get when any artist that rides the success of hip-hop or rides the culture of hip-hop to gain success, and then all of a sudden wants to detach himself. It's the same thing. Yeah. We talked about Post Malone doing it. We talked about Kid Rock doing it. We talked about even, like, people who we would never expect to do that. You know what I mean? And It's just kind of just disappointing. And while I'm not angry, because I feel like to a certain extent, he warrants the fact that I wouldn't consider him a traditional hip hop artist. But to detach himself when at the start of his career, he was rapping. Like,
and to be fair, remember when you first mentioned that we should review that album?
Right.
The first thing that I sent you was, is he a hip hop artist?
100%.
That was the first thing I asked.
Yeah.
And you followed it up by sending me a song of him rapping. An older song of his where there was a hip hop song.
Yeah.
So he has done what is quote unquote rap music.
Right.
But at the same time, even though it's clear that $1 Million Baby isn't a hip hop song, but at the same time, it was marketed like a hip hop song.
It was.
When you even looked at the little video, the in studio video, and what everybody's wearing, it was marketed that way to me. And just what was the point of saying it?
I don't understand the point. I think for him, I think he was seeing the criticism he received as if he was I don't know. Like, I don't even feel like you and I went in judging it. Oh, this is the standard it should be. Coyote should be because he's a hip hop artist.
We never even mentioned it being a hip.
We didn't.
The only reason why I asked you that is because we typically only cover hip hop songs,
right?
Hip hop songs and albums and projects here. That's the only reason why I asked it. We didn't review it as if with a hip hop standard.
No, and we see the parallels with him because like Brent Faiyaz is an R&B act, absolutely. But I see parallels because he hops on hip hop songs.
Absolutely, and I would even say the same thing about like Usher. Usher isn't a hip hop artist; he's clearly an R&B artist. But Usher is a part of hip hop culture.
He is.
Period. He's done songs with hip hop artists. He features with hip hop artists. He raps occasionally on songs.
Yeah, and we saw him in concert. He brought out Freeway. You know what I'm saying? Which is something I never expected because I don't even think they have a song together.
I don't think so.
You know? But he's tapped into the culture.
Yeah. So he's still a part of hip-hop culture, whether that is his designated genre or not. So, I thought it was corny to say it. He then ended up going back and trying to do a little cleanup.
For sure.
And he said, I'm not solely a hip-hop artist. And it's like, well, fam, you probably should have led with that.
You should have led with that.
You should have led with, hey, I make all types of music. If you needed to say that, I don't think he needed to.
I think it's like unnecessary for artists because we, as hip hop fans, as music fans, we're intelligent enough to know the distinction between the two. We know that he blurs genre lines. That's what he does. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take you to say that for us to recognize that. But I think him saying that is him drawing a line in the sand and saying, yo, don't group me with these people because you're holding me to a certain standard I can't keep up with. I think subconsciously that's what he's saying.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. Your music is bad on anybody's standard. Here
Let's talk about it.
There is no genre where that's good. I don't care what you put it in. If you put that in pop, it's not good pop. I always give the example of like, you know who does good pop music?
Who?
Bruno Mars.
He does. Great
pop music. You know who else
music.
does good pop music? Even from a like, this isn't even music I listen to, but I can say that he makes good music. Jason Derulo.
Okay.
Like if you're making pop songs, it's a polished version of what that sounds like.
To an extent, even Flow Rider.
Flow Rider, another one.
Pitbull.
I cannot stand their music, but it's polished.
Yeah. Pitbull, same thing.
Pitbull, same thing. You know what I mean? So there are people even if you wanted to put it in pop music, it's bad compared to the other pop artists who are.
Yeah, it's more clean. It's just more direction with it. Whereas his, it seems directionless, and it just didn't land. Coyote, we didn't like for that reason.
Yeah, Weeknd, another one, makes great pop music.
Yeah, he does. And he's versatile. Like, I wouldn't consider him a hip-hop artist, but I wouldn't consider Tommy Richman on the level of any of the artists we just named. Like, talent-wise. No, I wouldn't say that.
Weeknd is another one who I think, while Weeknd isn't a hip-hop artist, Weeknd would never post that I'm not a hip-hop artist because Weeknd knows that he incorporates hip-hop within his music.
Yeah.
So it's like, whether we're talking about the production, whether we're talking about the artists he collaborates with, there are songs by The Weeknd that you could easily put into a hip hop category.
And listen, we're not here to bash him for even if he wanted to separate himself from hip hop. Cool, doesn't matter to me.
I think he should because that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to us, and I think that's the important thing people need to take away from it. Is like, bro, if it's not as if if you're not hip hop, you're not good, or if you know what I'm saying. I don't care. I love versatility in artists and even hip hop specific artists. You're not providing anything worth us to like praise or consider, whether it's in hip hop or not. Absolutely. And that's the fact.
That is the fact. And let's talk about an artist who is a hip hop artist.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Undeniably so. And that is J.I.D.
Yeah.
He recently released a freestyle called 31 Freestyle, alongside some visuals. What did you think?
Yo, so I don't think it's any surprise to anybody. J.I.D. is one of the best lyricist technicians in the game right now.
Different.
And Cole got a good one when he signed him, because I think he signed at the Dreamville, right?
Yes.
He got a good one when he landed J.I.D. And especially from him coming from Atlanta, bro. Like, that's a level of talent that's comparable, not the same, but comparable to who's the dude who's written for like Kanye, Sci-Hi the Prince. Sci-Hi the Prince. So he's of that ilk to me, where it's like, yo, he's not kind of in the same light or bubble as some of the more popular, maybe more recognizable Atlanta artists that we're accustomed to, like the Young Thug, Gunna. Like, he can actually rap. He takes pride in his lyrical prowess, and I love J.I.D's music. And anytime he does a freestyle like this, I'm always tuned in. And so are others who are really tapped into the culture. So it's just another moment for him to shine.
Absolutely, man. When I listen to this, as you all know, I've definitely been a big advocate for J.I.D. on here. I think that J.I.D. is not getting the credit he deserves, but he's finally starting to get more attention put on his lyricism and his talent, man. And I would say that this was just another example of that, man. Just bars, great lyricism. The way he switches his flow, man, is just something that is it's only, you really only can compare. There's very few people who are rapping right now who rap on the level of J.I.D.
100%.
And I would honestly say that I don't know if there's anybody else who's come out post J.I.D. who raps better than J.I.D.
Yeah.
I can't name anybody who raps better than J.I.D. who came out in his class or after him. Yeah. I think he's still at the top of the mountain as far as his peers. And you can tell on this song, man, he's saying certain stuff where it sounds like J.I.D. wants smoke.
It does.
I think J.I.D. was itching to jump into that J. Cole. I think he was kind of he strikes me as somebody who was like, I'm mad J. Cole didn't respond because I wanted to jump in.
He could go nuclear on any artist, bro.
I think he's a problem. I think there's a reason why we haven't heard anybody come out and talk crazy about J.I.D. And I think he's waiting for that moment. That's how he sounds on this. Yeah. Because there's even a line in here where he says, "You already know that I'm better than," and then there's a blank. Who you think he was trying to, or you just think he was just saying anybody?
I think that's the part. I think he would put any name in there. I can dismantle him. Like, that's what energy he had on that freestyle, and I think his mindset just in rap.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't think he doesn't strike me as somebody who would have the J. Cole approach of, no, man, love and peace, man. We don't need to do this.
Nah, I don't.
J.I.D. does not strike me as that person.
Yeah,
I think that he is waiting on somebody to say Candyman.
But he strikes me as someone that,
as a rap fan, I want to see him smoke somebody.
He strikes me as somebody that's going to keep it competitive though, but is open to it. Like, yo, I don't care what this does or what it means for the moment. I'm coming at you. Like, that's that's the energy I think he gives to me.
And J.I.D. is somebody who is also, you can tell even in watching his interviews, he's somebody intelligent enough and also college educated, all of that stuff. Where I don't think it would ever go beyond rap. Yeah. So I think that he's somebody who, in the same vein that we were talking about with J. Cole and Kendrick, where like if they ever had a war of words, if you will, for sure, it wouldn't go beyond that. Nobody would think that it would. So I think J.I.D. is another person like that who I would like to see go at it, man. I want somebody call out J.I.D. just so I can see him in action.
Let's just see him spar. That's all we want. Spar words. That's it.
And
spar
he keeps saying stuff to try to get somebody, and I don't think I don't know anybody who really, unless it's somebody from T.D.E. I don't see anybody else even on that level. It
wouldn't be the best move. I can say that. And what, like, at the same time, like, let me play devil's advocate. What reward would they get out of that? Because J.I.D. is like, he's a talented artist, but he's not the biggest artist. So it's like, if you're established, like, what does that really?
Well, here's the thing though. It doesn't have to be. Kendrick gets nothing, of course, but it's a whole bunch of people who signed under T.D.E. who ain't as big as J.I.D.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Absol, jump out there. That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy because Absol can rap, bro.
Schoolboy Q, jump out there.
I could see them collaborating. But who also have smoke with J.I.D. though?
I don't think they do, but I just want to see y'all rap against each other. I don't think they actually have problems with each other.
That would be interesting. I would love to see Q in like a rap battle, like personally.
Any of those T.D.E. people, I would love, because they're all just great rappers. Yeah. And it's funny because when I first heard J.I.D. and saw that he signed to Cole, I was actually shocked that he didn't sign to T.D.E.
Because he's of that ilk, for sure.
He seems more. his rap style, but also just like his almost extreme technical lyricism seems like it would be fit for T.D.E.
And he's conceptual too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I could see it.
And that's not to say that J. Cole doesn't have some good people in Dreamville, but it's just not. He's definitely the best lyricist over there.
I think so. I think so.
Like Boz is cool.
Boz is great.
What's another one? Was it Kaz?
Kazi, right? Or Kaz? Yeah, Kaz. You're right.
Kaz, yeah, he's good.
And
too.
He's solid.
They got a bunch of solid rappers over there, but J.I.D. is different.
Yeah, he is. And if I didn't know any better, I would thought he's a T.D.E. product, to be honest, because again, he has all the measurables to be a T.D.E. artist. But
absolutely. But I like that he's over there at Dreamville. I like that Dreamville has one of those over there
for sure. Like what do you call it? I guess an atomic bomb. Like that's what he is.
That is exactly what it is. It's somebody who is like, there's no rapper who can hear J.I.D. and say, nah, he ain't that good. Or he all right.
Yeah.
Like, there's no rapper who can say that.
Not with brains, nah.
Even when you can jump on a song with an Eminem and hold your own.
Yeah.
Or when you can there's nobody I think is gonna hop on a track with J.I.D. and murder J.I.D. I just don't. I can't see.
I don't see it.
Yeah, so shout out J.I.D., man. I'm looking forward to your next project, man. His last project is fire.
Oh, it's amazing, bro.
And I don't think that it got enough light. It didn't get the light that it deserved to me.
Nah,
it did with surround sound, just because I know that had its viral moment.
Yeah,
but that project was amazing.
It was amazing, bro. And I think Up Rocks, that's a music publication. I think they asked me to do an end of the year list, and I actually had his last album within the top 10 because I was just so shocked at just how good it was, yet nobody was talking about it enough. So yeah, 100%. He's just an underrated artist overall, and I think he just needs more of a spotlight. And these freestyles, for those that know, for those that are tuned in, it's a moment for him to always kind of spark a conversation or a discussion. So yeah, shout out to J.I.D., man.
Shout out J.I.D., man. What do you think would take for J.I.D. to I would say jump over that barrier that he's in, like to go into that next tier, because J.I.D's been out for a while.
He has,
and he's been fired for a while. I think one of the first songs I heard from J.I.D. was 151.
Okay,
that one was I think the first J.I.D. song I heard, and that had to be like 7-8 years ago.
Jeez, yeah,
it was a while ago. What do you think? And he's been at this like tier that's right under the next tier, which is like. You got the J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake, Wale.
Right.
I mean, even Wale and Big Sean might be a little step below up, for me. Under, and then it's J.I.D. right under. What do you think it would take for him to get up there, to be considered with the Kendricks, with the Drakes? Or do you think that today is just harder to become that level of star?
Oh wow, I think that in some ways it's easier because you can just have not even a Billboard charting hit, and you can just capture some on TikTok, and then you become a name. But also, like, what does that mean now? What does a Billboard chart-topping song really even encompass? What does it sound like? You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. It's hard to call it.
The new generation, after their generation of the artists that we just named, outside of maybe like Lil Uzi, who else are the, like, mega stars in hip-hop?
And within their generation?
I
mean, it looks different. Because some people would consider, especially that are younger than us, they would say Lil Baby for a moment, at least between 2019 to 2022. And I know that's a super short window, but I feel like hip-hop is a music genre within windows, like, for some reason. He was one of the biggest
I would
names.
definitely say Lil Baby is definitely.
For sure.
But even like that generation of like the Lil Babies, the 21 Savage.
For sure.
Dirk.
For sure.
It's probably like the next tier, but like they're not as big of stars as J. Cole. And they can't go and sell out the size of arena or even theaters that not to J. Cole Kendrick level or Drake.
But that's what makes them like a S tier quality MC, because Drake, as you know, we know, transcends hip-hop, in many regards. And Kendrick is just a cultural figure as much as he is a musical fixture. So it's like, of course he's going to sell out. J. Cole is amazing, on every level, every end of the spectrum. I think for a J.I.D. or like what I would consider that level of MC, I think what the only thing separating them, because he measures up skill, everything else. I haven't seen him perform, but I imagine being under the Dreamville camp, he can perform too. I really just think it's just hits, bro. Like, that's all he needs.
I agree.
That's all he needs.
I think that's what's the missing piece is. I think that it's hits. And and he's putting out great music, so I don't know. Maybe it's more collaborations.
Maybe so. I think so.
Maybe it's more. Maybe it's collaborating with some more like R&B singers, and maybe he needs that type of song
for sure
to kind of take him to the next level, or even, it has to be collaboration because he's putting out great music. I think it's just surround sound was the first one to kind of like get that viral moment where it was like, and it was still a lyrical J.I.D. rapping song. That's why I was shocked when that one went viral, but. I think that he needs. I would agree. I think he's just a couple hits away from being that guy.
And honestly, I can name a couple like artists I see easy fill-ins for collaborations with. It's a Doja Cat, believe it or not. I could see him going crazy on the Doja Cat song. I could see him going crazy on a SZA track. I could see him going crazy. She's not R&B, but Doechii. Like, I can see that. To me, that's easy. That's a plug-in.
Doechii is easy work. SZA's definitely. Easy. That would be that makes a lot of sense.
I guarantee you she has songs named 2 to 3 that he can be like, oh yeah, I'll hop on that, and it's an easy plug-in, bro.
And they're under the same camp.
Who?
Who says SZA's under Cole? Cole discovered.
Nah, T.D.E.
Oh, she's.
You're thinking Ari Lennox.
I'm thinking Ariana Lennox.
Yeah, Ari Lennox. And, like,
Ari Lennox would make sense, too.
Oh, that makes perfect sense because they're under the same camp. That's easy. That's an easy plug-in, bro. Like, J.I.D. to me is a plug-in type of MC, bro. You can plug him in and he can cook. And what's crazy, I used to, like compare him to Isaiah Rashad a lot. But I think they're similar, but they're very different in how they approach music, one, and two, their sound is very different. But, yeah, I think
J.I.D. has stepped up a level above that now, where it's like if you're a hip hop fan, you know who J.I.D. is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's just now reaching beyond traditional hip hop fans.
Exactly.
Because there's still some hip hop fans who don't know who Isaiah Rashad is. Yeah. I don't think there's any hip hop fans at this point who's like a real fan of lyrical hip hop who doesn't know who J.I.D. is at this point.
Facts.
I mean, not in our generation, at least.
Yeah. I would say that's safe to say.
Yeah.
I would say it's
you know a little. You've heard something.
And you may not even say his name properly, too. I think
probably say J.I.D.
You know what I mean? You probably alternate between the two, but
he kind of alternates between the two, to be fair.
He does. Whatever.
I don't know which one. I've been saying J.I.D., but I've heard him on songs say Jid.
I've heard him say both.
Yeah. That might also be maybe was also.
And that's a marketing
Jid
thing.
Is a hard thing to market, to be honest. That name, J.I.D. is a very.
Yeah. And for my Atlanta folks, is that even like, do people even say Jid in Atlanta? Like, I thought that was always a Southern Florida thing, like a South Florida, whatever.
Well, that's Jit.
Yeah, that's Jit. So I'm confused. Yeah, whatever, man. I'm from Ohio, bro. Give me a break.
I'm from Chicago. I don't use.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't use the phrase. I don't know.
I don't even know what it stands for. It's whatever, man. Yeah. But I think that's what's missing. But you can say that for a lot of artists we love and admire. It's like, oh, you missing just that hit, like that's it. But
yeah, you're one thing away from being that next star.
Exactly.
But man, look, J.I.D. keep at it, man, because I'm enjoying these freestyles.
He's amazing, man.
Yeah, man, you putting on, you're keeping that lyrical hip hop alive
for sure.
Man, we have a throwback review.
Yes, we do with a T.D.E. artist.
With a T.D.E. artist, we already mentioned T.D.E. And one of a heavy hitter from that specific hip hop MC crew or coalition would have to be Schoolboy Q.
Easily.
Schoolboy Q is I would say after Kendrick is definitely the second biggest hip hop artist. Would you agree from T.D.E.?
No, I would say SZA.
No, hip hop.
Oh, hip hop artist. Yeah,
SZA's definitely right under Kendrick as far as fame.
Yeah, I would say Schoolboy. I would say I think that's easy. Yeah, I would say Schoolboy.
I would say Schoolboy Q is probably the next as far as well-known and established as an artist.
For sure.
And Schoolboy Q released 10 years ago. Yeah. It's the 10-year anniversary. In 2014, he released his album called Oxymoron.
Yeah.
Now, when you first heard this album, when it first released, what were your thoughts on it?
Oh, I thought it was amazing, bro. Like, I was really tapped in. I didn't think it was as good as I do now, years later. Ironically, it aged so well, but at the time, I loved it because he was on a run. He had that song Man of the Year. He had Collard Green. So once the album Oxymoron dropped, and this is after Habits and Contradictions, which I loved as a Q fan. And I got put on to him just years before that. So to see him come into form like this, like, it was exciting, bro. It was exciting for the West Coast, but it was exciting seeing just how established and how firmly grounded T.D.E was on the West and beyond, too, with his release, too. Yeah.
I would also agree, man. I think that Schoolboy Q, when I first heard him, he had one thing that's always dope to hear with hip-hop artists are ones who have an original sound. And I don't. And Schoolboy Q, when I first heard him, I was like, nobody sounds like Schoolboy Q. Whether you're talking about his ad libs, his voice is very distinct. And where you hear it and you're like, oh, that's Schoolboy Q. And I think that was one thing that I really liked. And when I heard this specific project, man, I loved it from the start. I remember I heard Habits and Contradictions, songs from it, but I hadn't heard the whole project. I heard this whole project before I went, and that made me go back to that project and listen to it in its totality. And, man, I love it. I think that it has a good variety. I think it's a well-balanced album. There's not a lot of wasted space in this specific album, Oxymoron. One thing that I'll say is there's actually a song on here that I use in my classes that I have been using in my hip-hop class for the last year, which is Prescription / Oxymoron.
Let's talk about it.
So that specific song, man, I think is one of I'm even willing to say one of the best songs that's speaking about both drug addiction and the mindset of selling drugs.
Exactly.
In one song. It's one of the few songs that I've ever heard speak on it on both sides of it within one track. And I think that one does an excellent job. I think the first half of it with him really speaking from the perspective of somebody who's addicted to drugs and what role that's playing and helping him cope. And then transitioning over into somebody who goes from using pills to now going into the perspective of somebody who is transitioning into selling pills.
Right.
I think, and the vibe of it's switching from being mellow and then switching into this hard hitting, just hard song.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite hip hop songs, and I think that it really showed his skills, man. I think Studio is also a song that I love.
Oh, it's a great song.
Featuring BJ the Chicago Kid. Shout out to him, man.
I love him.
Amazing R&B artist.
Yeah.
Collard Greens, of course, a song I love. Man of the Year used to be one of my favorite songs too at the time. Yeah, man, just a very thorough album, man. Yeah. Even the first song, the beat on Gangsta, the intro is crazy. Yeah, man, not a lot of wasted space. A couple songs on here that I skipped, but not a lot, to be honest. When I look back at it. Yeah. What were some of the standout songs for you on this album?
Break the Bank, Absolutely. The Purge, Hoover Street, Lost Awesome. What's crazy is I didn't like the intro, Gangsta. I didn't like that. I was like,
I didn't used to.
It sound a little corny, bro. He just keeps saying the gangsta over and over again on the chorus. But bro, listening back to this album, that's why again, bro, and I'll probably said this 10 times on this podcast. Retrospective reviews, so few people do it. Not enough people do it. Yep. But when you do it, that's how you see how certain artists have these visions or these things. I'm not saying this is something that's futuristic and above. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Transcends time. I'm just saying when you go back and you grow a deeper appreciation for stuff like this. So I now understand, knowing how Schoolboy's career has played out, why he would start an album like this.
Yes.
And just seeing how it was all constructed from the front end to the back end, bro. I just love this whole album, and I love the intro. I love Groove Line Part 2. I love when Q, especially and this showed up in Blank Face when he goes into collaborating with just legendary West Coast artists, and he captures that West Coast sound that he's able to go back and forth with, or transfix or change to fit whatever sound he wants to create with it. I love that because I love Sugar Free. That's a guilty pleasure artist for me, bro.
You listen to Sugar Free?
I love that P talk, bro. I love that.
I do too.
I love it, bro. And I don't obviously
that made
support
way for people like a Larry June.
It for real, it did. Absolutely. Or a Jay Worthy, or So I love when he does that, and I think this is among one of his just best albums, if not his best album, though. I'm willing to. I think there's one other project that can contend with this one, but I think the structure of it, the sound, is classic. It's kind of timeless, even with its nuances that Q puts on it, and it's reflective of just the kind of artist that's reared by a T.D.E, where it's like, yo, they're gonna have big songs, but don't get it confused. Like the album is gonna match the quality or the expectation that you go in with listening to these artists' music. I love it.
I 100% agree. And same thing with the intro for me. Like when I first heard it, I was like, whatever. But like now going back to it, when I played it in my car, I was like, oh, this is hard.
It hits.
Like, it
hits.
Yeah, and I agree. The funny thing about this album is that the one song that I really don't like on here.
Which one?
Is the one produced by Pharrell, which I never thought I would say in my life. And that is Los Awesome?
Yeah, Los Awesome. You don't like that jump?
Don't like it.
Okay.
And I played it back twice to say, I was like, maybe I'm tripping. I played it back and was like, nah. And I don't know if it's just the production and the vocals don't match well to me, or it's just like a lot of sounds going on at once.
Yeah.
In that song.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on that song.
Yeah.
And when I found, and I could tell immediately that it was produced by Pharrell. I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely Pharrell production. But for some reason, it didn't work with Schoolboy Q for me on that one.
And that's crazy because it would make, on paper, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like I could see, because Schoolboy is kind of, he can be a little animated, and this is an album that shows that in certain moments, you know what I mean? With his voice, how he contorts it, how he changes the pitches a bit. But, yeah, like, I think it's one of those more polarizing tracks. You either love it or you don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And studio is, to me, man, that is one, I always say this, and I truly do mean it. I was talking to somebody about hip-hop the other day, and I realized I don't like sexy hip-hop.
Like what you like?
Like I don't like hip hop for the ladies that's like super, even sexualized. I really don't be liking those songs. And I had to think back on it, and I was like, there's exceptions to that
for sure.
And this is one of those. Like
okay,
I don't like freaky hip hop. Freaky hip hop is not my bag. I just don't. I like R&B that's like that, but with hip hop, those songs usually come across corny to me. Like like I said, there are exceptions. Like, you know, there's 50 Cent has made some exceptions. Ja Rule made some exceptions.
Of course.
Nelly made some exceptions to like those type of songs.
I say Biggie made some exceptions.
Biggie made some exceptions, absolutely. So there are exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, those are songs I usually skip. And even like when I was I went back to the Baby's album, and when I finally finished off the second half, I was like, yeah, I see why I don't like this.
Yeah.
It was like, it's too much going on.
It's too much. And I think on an album, those, for me, you only get really one of those, like on an album, for me to be like cool with it. If it's like 2 to 3, especially if they're back to back, that's how you sequence them, bro. Like I'm gonna have a
it's too much,
it,
bro.
You know what I'm saying? And this isn't a sexy song by any means, but it's kind of like a more heartfelt, like, you know what I mean? Open song is like Song Cry by Jay-Z. Like, there's only room for one of those on the blueprint for me.
Yeah.
You can't do more than one, like 2 to 3
Song
of those.
Cry, I wouldn't really.
No, it's not sexy.
I was going to say, Song Cry
it's
ain't
open.
sexy,
It's more heartfelt, deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like emotional. And Jay-Z,
that's one of my favorite Jay-Z songs.
It's one of mine too.
Yeah,
and Blueprint is an amazing. For me, it's one of the few albums that I could even have a discussion and say it's perfect. I could have that discussion with people. But you only have one for me, two maximum.
See, for me, it's not even those type of heartfelt songs. It is the I'm rapping and I'm just talking all this freaky stuff on the rap song.
Yeah, the freaky bars.
Freaky bars don't hit for me, man. They usually come across corny. It's usually like, bro, you're doing too much on the song, and it doesn't really resonate well with me as a listener. I'd be like, all right, bro, like even when J. Cole gets into that bag on some of his features, I'd be like,
bro, Grippy. That song was terrible.
We reviewed, but that's one. We just gonna erase that out of our memory.
Yeah, we should.
We should just act like that song never happened.
I feel like it was one of them songs he did years ago. I want to think this. This is my. I feel like he did it a long time ago. He cleared it just for the sake of clearing it, and he regretted clearing it. Like once he got the reception from it. But I agree with you to an extent. Like I heard Glorilla. I heard some song where she was talking about her moose knuckle, bro. Like I'm like, this is crazy. Like like we don't need to hear. I'm not playing that type of stuff in my whip. I don't want to hear it in my AirPods either. But
yeah, man, I'd be like, leave that for the R&B singers. Now R&B is a whole nother bag. I'm cool with it in R&B. Mm-hmm. For some reason with hip hop, I just be like,
you know what a moose knuckle is? Before
yes, that's why you see how I just completely went on to the next.
Yeah. It's for the best. You know what I mean?
That's not gonna be the title of this episode.
We cannot do that. We cannot do that.
We cannot.
We barely got away with the last one.
The last one was pushing it. That is why.
Yo, Wow. All right, and we're on.
What's the transition?
Yeah,
so come on, hook it up.
We're talking about a West Coast artist. We've been talking about a lot of West Coast this episode, which I love, bro. Another topic is how Not Like Us is what, like for the Dodgers. That's like their anthem, like in the postseason.
So there was a commercial that ended up coming out featuring Anthony Anderson.
Yeah,
and it displayed Not Like Us being used as the Dodgers postseason anthem.
Yeah.
That song is the gift that keeps on giving.
It is, bro.
That song just won't die. And it's I know that song is just haunting.
Yeah, it has to
everybody on that side of OVO because it just won't go away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still hard. I heard it came on the other day when I was out and I was like, I still like it.
Yeah.
I'm not sick of it yet. And I also saw online that both Euphoria and Not Like Us are being submitted for Grammys.
Yo, because that's one thing, like, because I'm a fan of Drake's music, not so much the person or artist, but like that doesn't even make any sense. I rock with his music, bro. Let's keep it plain. Let's not confuse our viewers. Y'all are too intelligent for that. But one thing I think Drake could hang his hat on is like when he had his moment with Meek, is that back to back was Grammy. I think it was Grammy nominated.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
I did not know.
I don't know. I don't remember if it won. I'm pretty sure it didn't. But it was Grammy nominated because he submitted for the Grammys, and that was like a conversation. They're like, bro, could a diss record be like Grammy? Could it win a Grammy? So the fact that Kendrick 10 years later, I think at that point or at this point, he's trying to do he's doing the same thing, bro. Like that's crazy.
Bro, I mentioned this a couple episodes ago. I believe Euphoria deserves a Grammy.
Yeah, I think it does.
Euphoria is a great
amazing song.
And, I mean,
bro.
and his performance on it, his rapping on there is just amazing. The production is amazing. 6 minutes of just straight bars. Like I'm not gonna lie, I would like to see Euphoria win a Grammy. It winning a Grammy is going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
A diss record winning a Grammy is crazy.
Especially one that because people had an issue with it. I remember my friends leading up to Euphoria. This is before Kendrick responded at all to the Drake's disses that he had laid out where he was like, oh, you're short and all this other stuff, like whatever, right? My friends were like, oh, I already know Kendrick's going to come out with like a super artsy, over-the-top record and everything. Guess what? He did with Euphoria, and it hit on every level.
It did. Every beat switch, it got crazier.
It got crazier, bro.
And how do we feel about Not Like Us, a song like Not Like Us winning a Grammy? As hip hop enthusiasts, what do you think about that?
So I'll be candid too. I wouldn't want to see it only because it talks about real ramifications, like serious things.
Yeah.
When you're calling somebody the things that Kendrick ultimately called on them, I think that can't be taken for serious consideration when it comes to the Recording Academy. Now, the Recording Academy doesn't have a history of picking the right songs, albums to win certain awards. But I think they're smart enough to know to veer from it. It was the biggest song of the year, bro. Let's just call it what it was. So, like, in any other context, it would be deserving of an award. But I just think, like, from a business sense, from a sensible sense, I don't think it's the right move.
I agree. As much as we love Kendrick Lamar, I think that for hip hop, that type of song winning a Grammy just sets a crazy precedent.
It does.
As much as I love the song, and I think that it was the death blow that was needed within hip hop, I definitely think that needed to happen. But at the same time, do a hip hop song with one rapper calling another rapper or making those type of allegations against another rapper, I don't think it's a good display or it doesn't shine a good light on the culture.
I agree.
So not to win an award. Now if he performed it at the Grammys, I don't know. I'm not mad at it. But for some reason, it winning a Grammy for that one, that'd be crazy. I think Euphoria should win a Grammy.
I think so.
But I think Not Like and to be honest, it is the biggest hip hop song of the year, though.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest songs of the year.
Really, not even just hip hop, biggest songs of the year. So I mean, and it just keeps on. The more it's used for different things, the more you have HBCU bands playing it. The more you have sports team bringing it into their franchise. Like it's being embraced so much that it's like I could understand why it would win.
For sure.
But I definitely think it looks kind of crazy. I never thought that we'd be sitting here standing on the defense of Drake, but it's not really even on the defense of Drake. I just think we're just looking at it from like a fan of hip hop and wanting hip hop to be shown in the best light possible. I just think that song winning the Grammy is crazy. It's kind of crazy.
It's crazy, and I think like again the Recording Academy is smart enough to recognize that, but they've also made some dumb decisions too. So.
Yeah, bro. I was gonna say you got more faith than I do.
Yeah.
The moment they gave Macklemore a Grammy over Kendrick, bro.
Yeah. And I think even folks, I think the new regime of Grammy voters would say, yeah, we missed one. We missed the mark on that one.
Yeah. I mean? So I definitely think that. Yeah, I don't think that it'll win, but I don't know.
Though.
We're gonna see. It'll be interesting to find out.
It would be.
Yes, sir. What we got next on the docket?
Rich Homie Quan's album. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So Rich Homie Quan ended up where his team or his camp or his estate ended up rolling out an album. I did look at the credits when when this album came out and I saw that it was released independently.
Yeah.
So it seems like his team or his estate ended up rolling out this album. 35 songs, I believe.
35, hour 40.
An hour and 40 minutes. And what did you think? First of all, what did you think about them rolling out the album, the time frame, the amount of songs? What was your thoughts on that first?
I think, like, for me, I would have preferred them roll it out, like, over 3 projects, maybe 2. I don't think unloading the clip like this, like, from a musical sense, makes sense, I don't think. But they're probably sitting on more music, though, at the same time. They probably got tons of Rich Homie Quan because for a time, that was what he was going through was label issues. And I think listening to this album, I hear, in my mind, certain songs that are kind of years old.
Yeah.
Certain references, certain instrumental styles seem a little dated. So I think in their mind, they're like, yo, we might as well just put this out because this is what Rich Homie Quan has to offer. Or he was even in the process of releasing before, his unexpected death. So it's a little long. I think they could have chopped it up. And I think tightening the album up, the project, would have benefited them as well. But, there's a lot of good music on here, though. Yeah. I'm not going to lie.
And I would say the exact same thing. When I first saw it, that's what made me actually go and look up who this album was releasing under.
Yeah.
Because to me, from a business standpoint, and not even just business, but also just stretching out the legacy of the artist so that it has the biggest impact possible, and being able to really, to just draw as much attention to his music and let his music live as long as possible. I definitely was like, why release 35 songs at once? And that was the first thing that crossed my mind. I was like, it could have been 12 here, 12 there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think that would have been a better decision, but maybe he was already planning on, before he passed, releasing the album this long. I don't know.
Maybe.
So maybe he already had this locked and loaded for release before then. So I'm hoping that they're sitting on more music so that it's not everything just be going out at one time.
Yeah.
But definitely, man, going through it, some great songs on here, man.
Oh, for sure.
And like some ones that I believe truly have the potential of being hits. Like there's some songs on here that I was like, I actually love. Like one of the ones that really stood out to me personally was Theraflu.
Yeah.
I was like, this is an amazing song. Like that's one that I could see sticking around.
Yeah.
I liked One of Quan as
love
well. That. The intro was cool. One thing that I noticed on this album is and it's actually sad. And one of the Theraflu song I actually hear make reference to like the possibility of him passing away. You hear a lot of him talking. You hear a lot of him talking about his addictions that he's facing, and also like the fear of passing away. He even says on Theraflu, like he says it, and then he's like, "Let me not say that because I don't want to speak that on my life." So it's kind of like, it's kind of crazy hearing it after he's passed away, but. Yeah, man, definitely some heat on there though. Like that's one album I would highly recommend everybody going to check out because going through it, there are some great songs, and there's a lot of substance in it.
For sure,
it's not just like random songs that like there's a lot of substance of him talking about what he's going through. A lot of pain music in there. If that's the type of music that you gravitate to. What did you think about some of the songs?
Oh no, I think there's magic throughout this album. I think the middle portion, it loses me a little bit.
Yeah.
But that just comes to like trimming the project down.
Absolutely.
I think that comes with any lengthy project.
Same.
Like you're gonna find those holes in it. But I love Where You Been, Quan. I love that. That's
Yep.
I probably
like
played
that one too.
like 10 times today. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
that one is hard.
It's hard, and I love the fact that on One of Quan, he talks about like while everybody like thinks that I bit this flow, this cadence from somebody else. Actually, Gunna got it from me. Yeah. He says that.
He says
and
that.
I love that.
And I thought that was interesting because is it the name of one of Gunna's projects? One of. Okay.
Yeah. One of.
So I definitely think that was intentional. The title of that.
For sure. And I
hard,
hear.
Though.
Oh, you said what?
No, it was hard though.
Yeah, it was hard. And I think what I also noticed there's so many good albums or songs on this album like. Get Over With, Suffocating. I love Even the Score. I love Swerved Off, and like this is classic Atlanta. Like the type of songs that made me really get drawn to his music early on, especially around 2014, 2013 too. He just has it, bro. And for me, I think Quan's legacy is like he was just a really influential artist in Atlanta because even through this project, I hear Little Baby.
I hear a lot of that.
I hear Little Baby. I hear like fragments of Rod Wave too. I do.
Yes,
like,
I do too.
Especially the more melodic songs specifically. So he was an influential artist, and I think like again, listening to this, you realize or recognize how much credit he didn't get while he was alive. And I think unfortunately, I don't know why hip hop does it. Well, other genres do this too, but I find that like it's disappointing more because I'm such a hip hop fan that we don't give our artists flowers while they're still alive or at least like in the throes of their career. It's always after, you know what I mean? And I don't appreciate that. I don't like that.
And that's one thing that I don't like too is we dispose of the rappers who don't have longevity, whatever that means, as far as continuing to make hits and hits decade after decade. It's like, oh, you washed up. When in real life, other genres would love to have some of the people who we dispose of. Almost.
For sure.
Where we're talking about somebody that's washed up because they only had 2 successful albums. You know how many people don't have 2 successful albums? Or 1 successful album?
Facts.
And it's certain artists that I've always felt that way about. Like, you know what? How many genres wish they had a Nelly?
Joe.
Or wish they had a Ja Rule.
Facts.
Or somebody who had the impact of certain artists that for hip-hop fans, especially younger ones, it's like, oh, yeah, no, they watched up. Don't nobody listen to that. It's like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, these are people who impacted culture and the sound of what music ended up becoming and what hip-hop sounds
100%.
like. I 100% agree. I think that it's unfortunate that people who have these impacts are kind of just pushed to the side if they're no longer, quote-unquote, relevant. You know 100%. What I mean? I could not agree more. And
then if tragedy strikes, you know what I mean, then we love these artists. They were always this person or this artist that we imagined them to be. And it's just sad because in other genres, some artists are literally riding to success, still touring off of 1 song.
Absolutely.
Let alone like multiple albums or projects this person was a part of. And Rich Homie Quan was, again, just a real big influence. And I think like this project, and I love the title, Forever Going In, because it obviously a reference to his other projects, mixtapes that led up to this moment, and it just speaks to really just his legacy that he's leaving behind. Yeah,
I love it too, man. And I think that's one reason why on this podcast that we review past projects. That's why we've reviewed something like a T.I. Urban Legend or a Cameron Purple Haze and all of these older projects that impacted the culture. It's because, you know, for us, these are legends. These aren't people who are just, they're no longer relevant. You know what I mean? And to me, I think that narrative has to be shifted.
It has to.
Because somebody like a Rich Homie Quan impacted hip-hop, and it impacted the sound of an entire region of hip-hop. So I think that shouldn't be, because he's no longer at the forefront or making hits at the moment, you don't get to forget. One other person who I think of when we talk about somebody like a Rich Homie Quan who was impactful, Fetty Wap, man.
Yeah, for sure.
How are we just forgetting the couple years where Fetty Wap literally made every like come on, that was a run that we haven't seen in a long time.
I know.
And now nobody discusses it like that didn't happen. Like,
yeah.
And I know that he's incarcerated now. You know, hopefully I don't know how long he got sentenced for, but Fetty Wap, man, that was a crazy. The summer Fetty Wap came out was insane.
That was a crazy run.
That was and it was great music. That music aged well.
It
like,
did.
If you go back and listen to some of those songs, they're still good now.
Uh-huh.
And they changed the trajectory of what music sounded like at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, just because people aren't quote unquote relevant, making music that's right now popular.
Yeah.
That doesn't. We shouldn't discount the work that they put in.
For sure, I 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Is that all our topics?
That's all our topics, bro. I feel like this was a shorthand week. Maybe not, but yeah.
No, we had to 50-minute mark.
Okay.
We about regular. Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
Another great episode.
Another great episode, bro. Yeah. Episode, what we at, 14?
14. And we're in studio. I told y'all, I promised y'all we'd be back in studio.
Back at it, bro. So y'all let us know in the comments, man. Y'all like the in-studio ones better? I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's just more engaging.
Everybody I've talked to, they definitely said they prefer the in-studio.
Yeah, when I did, it was episode 12. They were like, bro, it looked like you're in a virtual courtroom. Like, that's what I had a court date virtually, bro. I was like, bro, I'm in my office, dog. Come on,
bro. A virtual court date is crazy.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And I'm not going to lie, man. I got to get on our producer, intern, Brandon. Shout out to Brandon, man.
Shout out, my guy.
Shout out, Brandon. Man, on those reels, man, Brandon be zoomed all the way in on me. I'd be like, bro, like, you catching nose hairs and everything, bro. Like,
the
on
details.
those reels, I'd be like, dang.
Yeah. The details, man. Shout out Brandon, man.
Shout out to Brandon, man. No, he helps us come up with these topics each week, man. He's the reason why we have some of the great discussions that we have on this podcast, man. So shout out to Brandon. And, man, we another episode locked in. If you're not following us, do so now. Number one, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
Yes, if you're watching this at Rap and Reason on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook now. Everything, Rap and Reason. If you're not watching on YouTube, you also can listen on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
And soon, in coming weeks, I imagine, we're going to start doing live album reviews or project song reviews, whatever. So that's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. That's why we really need y'all to go to that YouTube channel.
Exactly.
We've really sat and thought about it, and we're like, man, there's sometimes where there's like current events that are like super time sensitive and like timely. And we want to be able to just hop on and just discuss it and give y'all additional content to the YouTube channel. So make sure y'all are tuned in. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell on YouTube as well so that you're being notified when we release videos. And, man, just keep supporting, commenting, sharing.
Yes.
All of it helps us grow this platform, man. And we haven't missed a week yet.
We haven't,
I'm
bro.
proud to say that, man.
Yeah, man.
Episode 14, haven't missed a week yet. Whoa.
Yeah, and what's 14 weeks? What is that? What is that,
it's
roughly 3.5 months?
Yeah, about.
Yeah,
because a semester is 15 weeks.
So, bruh, we're on it.
We're on it, bro.
We're doing the thing.
Yes, sir, man. Back at it again, man. Hey, Rap and Reason. We'll holler at y'all next week.
And we're out.
Peace.